Hey, what's going on out there, YouTube? This is SEL0220.
Yo, it's your boy Joe. What's going on?
Hi.
AKA Mojo.
Jojo.
BKA Romans 8. And my other aliases.
Interesting. Yeah, man, y'all gotta go check out this guy's channel. He's got a lot of different skills to him. I mean, he's got animation skills, he's got dance skills, he's got music skills. I'll post down at the bottom his YouTube channel so y'all can check out some of his stuff. He's gonna be doing a lot more reviews and different things, different projects I'm working on lately, so that's why y'all seen him a lot more. But yeah, tonight we actually went and we saw the Tom Cruise movie named The Edge of Tomorrow. We're gonna go and dissect for y'all two different kind of reviews. We'll shoot the other one right after this one. We'll post them up tonight. But the first one's gonna be a non-spoiler review. And the movie, whew, this is gonna be fun. So first we're gonna talk about the visuals, the whole set piece of how the scope of the movie looks, as far as CG, as far as dynamics of imagery and stuff like the cinematography, as far as the musical score. We're gonna go and dissect how the actors perform, how their characters were, and then we're gonna go a small bit into the story, but we're gonna leave a bulk of it for the spoiler review. So y'all need to definitely go and check out the spoiler review after this, okay? So, Joe. Alright. Going into just the visuals for this movie, and I saw it, when I looked at it, y'all, we saw it in IMAX 3D. When we first got to the theater, the first thing we saw was a lot of destruction. We saw a lot of like matter flirting at our faces. It was just descending upon us, and it was like, this is real 3D. I'm not sure how they shot it. I need to go and research it. When I go through the spoiler review, I'll be able to give y'all more concrete, but I was like, the 3D is actually popping at me. I was like, I'm actually enjoying it. And not just that, every single fight scene, every single thing that happens to every single character is shot very well. And that there's a close-up panned out shots, there are the long stretched out shots when you see the character just running or he's like desperate for stuff. Like when you look at I Am Legend and you look at Independence Day, you can see that the imagery and the cinematography for that, you can see it kind of plateaued through with this one. I don't know if you had any more about the visuals for it. What do you think?
Visuals.
And that's not even going into the CG because you the animator, not me.
Yeah. Not even talking about CG.
Let me see your glasses. Let me see your glasses. It's got some crud on it.
Nah, but the actual CG, man, was actually. I'm gonna talk about CG. I'll talk
Okay,
about CG.
all right.
CG was spectacular. It's spectacular. It wasn't anything over the edge. Like, man, this is to where it's not believable.
Yeah.
I would say even like the villains, the monsters, well done, well designed, well developed, well crafted. So that's A+. Even yeah, it looks good. It looks good even from the. You've probably seen from the trailers, you know, the little power suits that they use, that the soldiers use. Looks good. It looks good.
Yeah.
Good.
I mean,
it's really good.
It looked beautiful, y'all.
Especially in IMAX. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, this is going ahead of ourselves. We haven't even talked about the characters, but the villains, I think they deserve this section of everything because visually, I never seen anything like these things. They move like tarantulas. They move like wild animals. I think that one of the doctors that was trying to talk to Tom Cruise's character, he said, don't think of these things as animals or people. They are organisms. They will move in ways that you can't even describe it. And I mean, when I think about that, when I look at under a microscope and you see like an actual organism that's alive, it can move in ways you can't even fathom. The microorganisms, how they move, it's just insane. And with this one, I mean, you can go a little more imagery about it, but it was unbelievable, y'all. Quite honestly. But the other thing was that each monster had a different kind of class to it as well. You had your omegas, you had your alphas, you had your drones. The drones, they're gonna be kind of like a peach or a red kind of color or tint to him.
Yeah.
And you had said that when you think about an animal when it's cornered, when it just stops like this, you know, it's a really scary feeling when you actually seeing these things attack. Yeah. And it's a real subtle touch of when it starts up. And I mean, by the time you get to the actual alpha, you're like, you don't want to mess with this guy, you know. And I mean, just the visual effects were amazing. I have to give the visual effects at least a 10 out of 10 for me personally. What about you?
I'll give it a 9 out of 10. I'll give it a 9. Okay. A solid 9.
Okay. With the musical score, I didn't hear too much, but I think with this movie, it didn't need a lot. I think because the action set pieces they came from, believe it or not, funny things that would happen, and then very serious things that happen. And I think that the way that the director did this movie, where you're like, you see from the previews, of course, that the main character, Tom Cruise, whose name is William Cage, he keeps on dying and coming back on the battlefield. But the thing is, at a certain point, like, you're so worried about what might actually happen to him that the dynamics of the tone changes. And the movie shifts in such a way that if there was like a lot of upbeat music and then it was kind of sad music, it wouldn't be as effective. For me, I was like, wow, this is really good, you know. But I don't know. I'd say probably I wouldn't give the movie score like a rating because I didn't really hear too much of it. What about you? I didn't hear much.
Nah, I didn't hear much maybe.
But yeah. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the acting in this one. I thought the acting was well done. I thought that Tom Cruise played a character unlike what we've seen before. Normally we see him like the Mission Impossibles or Vanilla Skies or Jerry Maguire or like Collateral. You know, like he plays all these different kind of action roles, but he's never played a character that's evolved throughout most of the movie. You know, I mean, I think the closest he might have come was with Mission Impossible 3 when his wife got kidnapped. And he was going through this point of like trying to figure out what to do. You know, he was out of control. You know, there's nothing he could do. With this movie, he starts off as a normal guy that's a desk jockey that is spineless. You know, like he's not the kind of person that would go into a battlefield. But by the end of the movie, you will see him evolve into a rock of a character. Yeah. And a character that you want to root for. You would never see him as a hero in the beginning. If you look at the beginning of the movie, you wouldn't even understand it. And that shows to me that Tom Cruise still can go toe to toe like any other great actor like Liam Neeson or Denzel Washington. He has that panache, in my opinion. You know. But what did you thought about his performance?
Oh man, it was really good. Like you said, the development of his character and the way he had to transition. During playing that role, it was phenomenal. I feel like lately, I compare kind of like, I would say not the movie itself, but the genre, or like a kind of like a theme, similar to Oblivion, where it's definitely like a mind trip. Which is a positive. I mean, I'm not saying that in a negative way, but I really enjoy Tom Cruise playing these different roles to where the story actually engages your mind till you don't know what to think around the next corner.
I agree. I definitely agree. Yeah. So, be honest with y'all, there's only 2 other characters I can really name off because the J Squad is the team that are on the front lines that he keeps on going in this loop with. It's going into battle, they're dying or living, and no matter what, like, I mean, you don't really know who these characters are. They have no names. But one of the characters that, of course, that you're gonna see in the trailers and move out is the Sergeant. The Sergeant, he's a master sergeant. He's played by Bill Paxton. He's played in a lot of different things, but he's a funny character, and you see him so much. But through the amount of time that you see him, it's like you kind of see him kind of evolve, even though it's impossible because it's a reset every single time. He's the same person, but because of Tom Cruise's actions with each interaction, like you see different levels of him and how he interacts with his squad and how he's kind of like overtaken by what's going on, you know. And but I mean, he was kind of like a good sub character. And then, oh my gosh, Emily Blunt, who plays Rita, she is a beast, y'all. Like, anybody that I forget, there's this one movie that she played, and what was it? She played in Looper. It was Devil Wears Prada. She was in the Adjustment Bureau, but she also was in Devil Wears Prada. And I mean, she's kind of the prissy type and the, you know, standoffish kind of type on an emotional level, but she is physically there. Like, it's the action scenes that she was in, it was amazing, man. And I don't know what what were you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, she definitely played that role. Like, she played a very believable soldier. It's not even a soldier, but like even a hero, like or being kind of like a heroic soldier, you know, a soldier of valor. She definitely played that role in a very believable character. In that aspect, yeah, I think she was like working out for that role too.
Yeah,
she's kind of ripped.
She was.
You know, she's not buff.
She did this move. Well, every time you kept on seeing her, she's had her legs up in the air and her hands on the ground and her body up.
Yeah. While
things are spinning around her. And I mean, this is craziness, man. But the only other character I remember is the General Brigham. He's played by actor Brendan Gleeson. If any of y'all seen Troy, or if any of y'all seen like Gangs of New York, he's been in a lot of different roles. But in this role, like the way that the director did this movie, I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know what his role was. And he was a very mysterious kind of character, which I liked that because I wanted to be surprised. I wanted to know, okay, does he know what's happening or does he not? You know, and he played that role very well. Everybody, to me, did a good job with their acting. Even the no-names, they kind of made their own, you know? I want to know who these actors are after this. Like, even the J Squad. Like, so, I thought the acting was really good. I thought it maybe deserves at least an 8.5, you know? What about you? What do you think about your rating for the acting?
Yeah, I'll give it 8.5. Yeah.
So, alright, we'll stop it at the last bit, which we're going to talk about the story. So, I'm going to read y'all a small synopsis of the movie, which is kind of self-explanatory. But, an officer finds himself caught in time loop in a war with the alien race. His skills increase as he faces the same brutal combat scenarios over and over, and the union with the Special Forces warrior gets him closer and closer to trying to defeat this epic enemy. So, the writers of this are, I think one of them was Christopher McQuarrie, and then the director, which is Doug Liman, he did a really good job directing this. The way that the scope and the scripting for this, I was on the edge of my seat most of the time, but at the same time, I was brought through different emotions. There were times where Tom Cruise's character, he started off, this Dex jockey, he didn't want to do this. He was trying to flee. He gets caught every single time, and he's like, dude, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this, you know? And then, of course, what happens is he dies, but how he dies and what happens in between that point, that's where the story kicks off. And it starts off on a small, subtle tone, but you're put through a range of emotions that Tom Cruise is feeling. You feel for him in this character, you know? And I don't know, like, I really enjoyed the way that Doug presented this story to us. Because by the end of it, when certain thing happens and Tom Cruise's character doesn't get this reset anymore, like, I don't know, it's just so much more weight to it because you've gone through the emotions what he deals with. Imagine every single day you go through war and you die. How does that emotionally make you feel? You know, you have soldiers go through years of training and stuff like that, and they develop post-traumatic stress disorder. But how does this really make you emotionally tear down? You know, and I just thought that was a beautiful story. I really enjoyed it. I want to see more of these characters, of these villains, you know. But I don't know. What were your take on it?
Which aspect?
Just the story in general.
Story?
Like,
Man.
without going into too many details till we get to spoiler review.
I think we spoiled a lot already. You did mention they lost.
That's not bad.
That's a big deal.
Man, continue.
That's a big deal, like in the story. Alright, well, I say in the story, man, it was just a really good story. It's a really good story because you have a guy who's, you know, and the kid's character, Tom Cruise character, man, was like really spineless. Like in the beginning, I had no respect for this guy at all. He really came off as a jerk, you know.
Yeah.
Just trying to save his own hide, and then after the first battle scene, you're like, okay, this guy literally he does not belong here. Send him back. I don't know what he's even doing. But even the concept of him dying and then coming back, you think like a lot of times like people, well, going into it, I think like hey, that's pretty cool, you know. Like he's pretty much indestructible, you know. But at the same time, it's like I kind of thought about it as like a video game. I equated to a video game how you die, respawn, die and respawn. But this loop he's in, he's always losing. Like there is no win. He gets slaughtered each time. Like it's no, like he does not see the sun rise. Yeah. Like hypothetically speaking. Yeah. Like there's no hope. It's a hopeless loop. Yeah. And he's faced with it, this tragedy every day, and it's like
that's a good point.
And it's really like, and the point in the movie, it's like y'all see what I'm talking about when you watch it, but there's a point in the movie where it seems like a curse. Like you're like, he just hits a low, and it's like, dang, like I wish he could just not have to deal with this because it's nothing he can do.
Yeah, I'll say this: I dare y'all to count every single time that he dies. On top of that, just from what you've seen, is nothing compared to the amount of times he dies. Because there are points where, I ain't gonna go into it too much, but there are points that you realize that he's gone through this so many times that it's just sad, you know? But you made a good point when you said hopelessness. But hopelessness, when it's carried out in such a way over time, like a person, either one just stops or they choose to fight back. And so he became like, he was the spineless character, went through hopelessness, went through the worst thing ever, but then it humbled him such a way that he had to fight. It was like, at a certain point, like, why are you still doing this? Like, just let yourself go through it every day, you know? But he didn't. And so, I really enjoyed the story. I won't give the story a rating, but all around, I'll say I give the movie at least a 8.5. I really enjoyed it. This is one of the better movies I enjoyed this summer. And we'll go into a lot more detail over the spoiler review, but that's my rating for it. What do you leave it with, Joe?
What did I rank X-Men?
I think you gave it a 9, if not a 9.5.
Okay, I'll bump X-Men to a 9.5. And I'll give this a 9.
I agree with that. Can I change mine? Can I change my review to a 9? Because X-Men was one of the best movies this year. It really and I mean, I really appreciate all of y'all's comments on the spoiler review and the regular normal review. But yeah, I mean, X-Men was just epic, but this was its own new movie.
This was very...
And it was, I mean, it's similar to a lot of movies that we've seen, but it wasn't. It really wasn't, you know. But we'll go into the spoilers. So stay tuned after this. Check out the spoiler review. I'll leave it at the comment below. But yeah, if you like this review, please like it. If you like what we're doing, please subscribe. If you like this guy's work, go down to the bottom, subscribe on his channel. And we got a lot more coming. Just wait. Alright, here comes the spoiler review. Later, y'all.
What? I mean, we're gonna sit right like that.